Fishing like a local isn't just about catching fish. It's about connecting with the environment and the people who call it home. It's about hearing the stories and traditions that have been passed down for generations and sharing unforgettable moments with the people you meet along the way. Fishing like a local is having an experience that stays with you forever. And with Fishing Booker, you can experience it too, no matter where you are. Discover your next adventure on Fishing Booker.
In every pair of Tecovas boots, you can expect handmade quality, first wear comfort, and timeless Western style. Tecovas boots are always made from premium bovine and exotic leathers, and with occasional resoling, they will last a lifetime. The best way to shop for boots is at your local Tecovas store, where you'll be greeted by the smell of fresh leather and a friendly smile. Come on in, grab a cold one, get fitted by a pro, and shop the latest styles. Visit tecovas.com, that's TECOVAS.com, and don't go gently, y'all. In every pair of Tecovas boots, you can expect handmade quality, first wear comfort, and timeless Western style. A great pair of Western boots will elevate a casual look or add a refined flair that'll draw both eyes and compliments. Tecovas boots are always made from premium bovine and exotic leathers, and with occasional resoling, they will last a lifetime. The best way to shop for boots is at your local Tecovas store, where you'll be greeted by the smell of fresh leather and a friendly smile. Come on in, grab a cold one, get fitted by a pro, and shop the latest styles. We also offer custom branding and leather stamping if you want to personalize your boots or fine leather goods. As spring makes its way into summer, stay cool in a short sleeve, moisture-wicking pearl snap, or make your own shade with one of their classic straw hats, new in both men's and women's styles. And if you're planning to hit the road, Tecovas' ever-growing lineup of rugged and full-grain leather bags will get you where you're headed in style and are built to last decades. Visit tecovas.com, that's TECOVAS.com, and don't go gently, y'all.
Charging your boat battery has never been easier. Our 20, 30, and 40 amp Battery Tender Wave Charge Pro multi-bank chargers safely charge and maintain your boat batteries. The 2, 3, and 4 bank chargers are waterproof, vibration resistant, and will never overcharge your battery. Whether you're on the water, on the road, or in the wild, Battery Tender has you covered. With our variety of battery chargers, jump starters, and solar chargers, Battery Tender can charge and maintain any vehicle's battery. Start with trust. Start with Battery Tender.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bowhunter Chronicles podcast, brought to you by Huntworth. Huntworth gear for all types of weather, all types of terrain, all types of budgets. It's clothing that just works. Check them out at huntworthgear.com. So we are following up on probably one of our favorite weekends of the year. The Patreon hunt has become such an incredible experience, therapy, I don't know, just a great way to connect. And we've kind of recaptured that, put that back into play with the Total Archery Challenge. We have so many of the Patreons that come up there, reconnect with us, old Patreons, new Patreons, all that kind of stuff. Plenty of them staying with us and just sharing the mountain, sharing the experience, the camaraderie, and really, really happy to be able to do that. And then once further, to be able to see some of the guys from the companies that we work with, our friends in the industry, all of that. The Latitude guys, Latitude booth was hopping. They were selling sticks hand over fist. They had their new gear hangers up and for sale, and the folding one, I don't know what the name of it is. The other one is the Fix. I don't even believe it's for sale on the website. I just checked. The Fix is available on the website, but guys were able to get their hands on it, check it out, see that, and those are going to be great this year as well. They got a sale going on over there, so check that out at Latitude. And when you're over there, you can use code BHC to save 15%. So definitely do that. Genesis 3D was up there, and Austin and Hope are great people. They were up there. selling stuff, explaining stuff. We think in the mobile hunting community that everybody knows everything and what everything is for. And, you get outside of our little bubble or echo chamber, maybe it's just not the case. So being able to show people how these products work, how they can help them, throughout the year, their hunting season, on their bows, all that sort of stuff. It's great. And like I say, they're great people. They were super busy up there. So, unfortunately we didn't get to shoot with them or hang out too much. Jared from Vitalized Seed and the Habitat Podcast was up there. Hutchie Outdoors and the Deer Camp Podcast, those guys were up there. Prime, all of them. It's one of the places where, even if you don't go up and shoot, if you have a Total Archery Challenge near you, go there, check out the community, make some new best friends, and, we can't say enough about it. And for us, we use it as a deer camp in June as a reset. Just want to thank everybody that came out to the cookout. Our good friend, Joe Davis, Generations of Hunt Podcast, he was up there taking pictures, videos, doing his thing, and got some great shots over the weekend for us. So I'll probably use some of those with the podcast here, but definitely go check out his podcast. We can't do this without, all the partners that we mentioned, as well as the other ones, Lucky Buck, Spartan Forge, Spartan Forge, they had some signage out there on the course. They've just had a new update with some increased features on their mapping, which makes it a lot more intuitive. So if you haven't updated your app, definitely do that and check out what's going on over there. You can save 25% using code Bowhunter. That helps us out too, but definitely something to check out with Spartan Forge. Zinger and Kanati were shooting, most of us were shooting Zingers, lots of Kanati arrows up there. Love the support from those guys and Michigan Company. And then Big Shot Targets, you can use code BCP, save 10% there. But it allows us to kind of do the stuff that we do, and we can't thank them enough. But you guys as listeners, being able to meet new people who found the show, all of that, really, really happy to have been up there. Thanks everybody for coming out to the cookout. Everybody that said hi, stopped by, any of that stuff. We couldn't do this without you. That is kind of a recap for you guys that weren't up there. As always, thanks for listening. All right, everybody. Adam and John back with another episode of the Bowhunter Chronicles podcast. And I think this one's going to be titled Deer Camp in June. Because, I'd mentioned that to some of the guys. I mentioned it. I know I said it to Kyle. And John and I both got up to tack, later on Thursday night. And that was the first thing Kyle said. He's like, "You're 100% right. It was deer camp," and so we're going to do this one. I want to do it in two separate parts, because John did shoot both the bows, and I want to have like an in-depth conversation, about that. And if someone just wants to learn about the bows, I don't want them to like gloss over it and be like, "Oh, it's just these idiots talking about tack,"
Right.
So to start, I think I wanted to ask you, like, was this like the 6th year that we've been doing this, or 7th?
I think it was the 7th.
Yeah.
We've been doing tack longer than podcasts. So
yeah. So in that time frame, like for you, what has changed with the Total Archery Challenge from like the first time we went there and like your kind of like viewing of it to, this past weekend?
Well, the first time we went up, actually you were like,
I just came for one day.
Yeah, you were over doing something.
I was
City.
camping and I was like, "Oh, it's the same weekend. Like I'm going to be up in Traverse City. Like I'll just pop over." It was that point.
Right.
And I was very much on the level of like my brother-in-law. Like hadn't shot my bow. I'm like, I'll just dust it off.
Right. My brother and I were all, we were set up pretty good actually, but we weren't. I mean, the biggest thing is the mentality. Like we went there and we seen like that first year, we seen all these guys in all their camo and packs. I'm like, what the hell are these guys doing? This is a fun shoot. Well, then we realized, oh, they're checking gear and, prepping stuff for Western hunts. And then ultimately that's what we ended up using it for too. And then now it's kind of like just going up, having fun, nothing. We don't even keep score. I honestly haven't even shot my bow. Last year was a different story. I couldn't shoot my bow much. And then this year, I could shoot, but just being busy. But still, like you said, it was like deer camp. Get up there, had fun. Frank's there. He didn't even shoot. He's like, nah, I didn't even bring a bow.
I think that was almost better. And I think it was last year where I said, well, maybe I'll just pick it. I think it was last year that I was just going to pick a day and just not shoot and just hang out down in like the vendor area. And it kind of worked out that way this year, albeit kind of wonky.
Like on Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we shot early, kind of.
Well, we'll go through that. But like I said, I just wanted to touch base and see like how you think it's evolved, because one of the things that you'd mentioned, and we definitely saw guys with all their gear on even this year, and I would say that we don't take it. I think we don't take any of that less seriously. I think because I was using my boots, but granted, I just got back from Montana, so I kind of had a good idea of what I was using. And I don't know. I feel like a million times more confident in my gear. Like when I go to tack, like I know that and it's also funny, and you can speak to this however you want. But I've been shooting the same damn bow for the last 5 years. So
right.
I know what I know it'll shoot. And it's not like my brother-in-law, Chris, where it's like it shot fine last year. Like, I went out, I shot it. I had a good thing. I still haven't gotten, I went out and I shot at the club and I got a tape for that 111, but man, I just wasn't shooting well enough when I was shooting. Like I wasn't grouping consistent enough.
It could have been the lack of sleep. Like,
yeah.
Going to bed at 5 a.m.
Yeah, but I meant like, going into it, when we were at the club,
right.
You were basically French tuning these bows at 80, and I was shooting at the dot, and my up and down was good, but my left and right was poor. And I wasn't grouping, like I wasn't hitting the spot. I wasn't hitting like where, and I don't know if it was equipment issue, and not saying like, oh, my equipment isn't good enough, or, where I'm better than that. But one of the things I did notice, and we'll get into this, but after all of the late nights and drinking and carrying on, and the fatigue like set in at the end, and I'm shooting 19 pins, and then with that light in that dark, in some of the darker shots, like the pin was huge. And so I think if a smaller pin setup, maybe lends a little bit to that. And people are probably listening, and they're either saying like, don't do all the drinking and carrying on. I'm not saying that wasn't an issue. That's not why I didn't shoot. But prior to that, I just don't group well at distance. And I've always had an issue like where I can shoot at a spot, and I shoot better at spots than I do at like 3D. And like even so, like with like Frank, where he's can't hit a spot to save his life, but he can shoot animals and shoots 3D pretty well. Chris is probably the same way.
Right.
And, but like I say, my bow was shooting, everything was on, but like maybe next year I'll have a bow completely set up for it. But I don't know, they're like, and I don't think you've ever shot for the truck either. And
I've shot for the truck, not in the last few years, just because I wasn't
shooting. Because I feel like it's in your wheelhouse. And like, one of our guys, Jake, I mean, the dude was shooting ridiculous groups at 90, 91 or something at the club. And, he was in there and he shot for it. And I mean, he had 4 arrows in like a 3-inch group that was right. 3 inches low, 3 inches right. And that's how consistent that you need to be. And going into it, I knew I wasn't that guy. Now I knew my bow would hit. I knew I would shoot just fine, but
right.
I wasn't there. Right.
Right. Me either. That's, like the bows were barely tuned. I mean, they were tuned. I shot consistent. I mean, pretty consistent, but
they didn't feel like an extension of your arm.
Right. I wasn't tailgate ready. I mean, I think I would have had more confidence pulling out the V3X and going up there and shooting, but I still wasn't in shooting shape, obviously. I mean, we shot leagues and that ended in March, and I haven't picked up a bow since we initially tuned the bows or first set them up. And that was I don't remember when we did that, but it's been a month at least.
So with that, like going back to like the initial question of like from year one to like this past year, like even if you were to say like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, probably 4 years ago is a better example. Like, would you have imagined like going to tack and shooting in the quote unquote shooting shape that you were in?
Fishing like a local isn't just about catching fish. It's about connecting with the environment and the people who call it home. It's about hearing the stories and traditions that have been passed down for generations and sharing unforgettable moments with the people you meet along the way. Fishing like a local is having an experience that stays with you forever. And with Fishing Booker, you can experience it too, no matter where you are. Discover your next adventure on Fishing Booker.
At Midway USA, we know the AR-15 is one of the most popular rifles in modern American history. Known for its modularity and widespread use, it's often considered essential to any gun collection. The essential things you need to run an AR-15 are usually always in stock during shortages, things like magazines and 5.56 ammo. Whether you're looking to buy a new AR-15 or buy parts for your modern sporting rifle, log on and for just about everything for the outdoors, shop MidwayUSA.com.
Right now?
Probably not. I mean, I'm just like, now I know I can do it and I know what to expect. And Crystal, I mean, the other thing too is like going from Crystal to Boyne, obviously. I mean, we still had some difficult stuff, but Crystal is only 20 targets, not 25. So you might not lose as many arrows. I mean, this year though, I did. I mean, I broke more arrows this year than I have in the last probably 5 years combined. I mean, even last year in terrible shape, I think I only broke 1 arrow, and that was like in the target. This year, end up breaking like 7. I stuck 2 trees. Of course, I wasn't going to lay up,
Well, that's those layups. Like I hit 1 tree. I lost an arrow on knock on, which I don't even know how that happened. Like, I don't even know where. I couldn't even tell you what shot it was on. But I hit 1 tree the first day. So the first day, the first course, I shot clean. I didn't lose any arrows. And then I lost 1 on knock on. And that, John shot with me. If you go back to any of the other Total Archery challenges, like the first couple, like I was scavenging arrows. And I had plenty of arrows and everything this year. Day 2 comes, and I'll have you, from all of your, getting on me. I shot 2 courses with like an hour and a half sleep max, and lost 1 arrow. And it was a ball. Like, so I guess since we're talking about that, like, so that day, and so for context, the last couple of years, when we've been kind of meeting up with a bunch of the Patreons, a bunch of the listeners of the podcast, and we've created this community, everybody wants to try to shoot a course, and Friday night is like the easiest to kind of to get that done. 'Cause, Saturday's the busy day. And so we're like, okay, well, we'll shoot early on Friday, and we'll shoot an easy course. We'll shoot a walking, like a flat course, like a quick course where we won't be kind of clogging it up, mobbing around. And I think the first year or whatever, the first time we did it, we shot like 10 or 11. And you're like, oh my goodness.
Well, we normally shoot our normal course in the morning, and in the afternoon, that's when we do the secondary easy course. That way, most of the other people are over on the other courses, the mountain courses. Because
when you sign up and, all the quote unquote good courses are taken, then everybody wants to be like, well, I'll shoot a good course in the afternoon.
Right.
And those other ones are pretty barren. And for whatever reason this year.
Well, that's what happened. Some of the guys in our group who couldn't get knock on the primary courses had to shoot a flat course. And they're like, well, we want to shoot the mountain for the afternoon. Like, okay. And that was a mistake really for me. I mean, going into it, talk about fatigue. Like, I paid for it on Saturday. It ended up being it was 9.5 miles that we did Friday, 93 flights of stairs climbed on and I didn't even go up to every arrow pole,
I did,
my calves were dying, but
yeah, and we shot, it ended up, I wondered who that other guy was. So we had initially had 13 shooters, and then Joe came along and took pictures and just kind of videoed the whole thing.
No, we had 15 guys, 14 shooters from the beginning. I counted when we walked up.
Well, okay. However, but I'm talking about when we walked up to the lift.
Oh, yeah, the lift.
And then there were some guys in front of us who just left their buddy. They didn't want to wait. And so we had a random guy shooting with our mob of now 15. And I couldn't, I was like, I knew 2 of the guys were shooting with Chris and Jack, and they were the guys that shot in our league in the club. So I recognize all the faces except for this one dude. And I just assumed he was with the guys from the club, it was just one of the guys that I didn't recognize. And then come to find out, it was just some guy whose buddies left him. Are you overwhelmed by the hundreds of food plot mixes out there? Well, you are not alone. And Vitalize Seed has developed a program that takes the guesswork out of food plotting. Vitalize makes it simple with their 2 core mixes, Nitro Boost and Carbon Load. Nitro Boost is their spring-summer food plot mix, and Carbon Load is for planting in the fall, each having a diverse mix of over a dozen seed types that are highly attractive to whitetail. Food plotting made simple. Each mix provides necessary nutrients to the soil, making for better plots each season. This also saves you money by needing less Roundup and fertilizer every year. The 1-2 system simplifies your food plots just how nature intended. And for the more advanced habitat managers, Vitalize also offers a variety of natural amendments with products like their seed feed that offer seeds immediately available minerals ready as soon as they germinate. Make biology work for you. Order now at vitalizeseed.com.
I didn't even know that.
And
I thought it was one of the
yeah. And so then he's like, well, I'll shoot with you guys. And we've said it a bunch of times. It's one of the things that it's super endearing. And I'm sure that there's some people out there who absolutely hate this, but that's not us, and they're not necessarily our people. So like when you get up to shoot, you know, there's cones and you put your foot on the cone and that's the shot. And that's where John's saying that he doesn't want to lay up because that's what Dudley or Sean or whoever set up the course. That's where they wanted you to shoot it from because it's hard and there's trees in the way and there's all sorts of stuff. Well,
I do it because I want to challenge myself. I mean, like I know I can lay up.
Well, what I'm saying is that that's the shot that's intended, and it's intended to be hard from there. But you know it's makeable because they put it there, right? And oddly enough, we were supposed to shoot knock on Sunday, and we didn't. We shot it on Friday night, so we went back and shot Sitka again, and there was a shot that there was a mountain lion coming out of the log, and then on Sunday. The log was gone.
Someone ripped a log out.
Yeah.
There.
And then same thing. They swapped out a target on right before the moose. It was this big, huge buck at like 60 yards, 57 yards.
They put an antelope.
And they put a little tiny antelope there.
And maybe that target got shot through or shot out, whatever.
Yeah.
So on when I, like in the woods, whatever, or when there's one of those tight shots that are technical, like you're hugging trees, shooting through the V of a tree or shooting through the V of several trees, then I want to make that shot. But like when it's just an open shot, heck yeah, I don't have to be by the cone. Let's line up and let them fling. You know, I mean, that's fun to me.
Yeah. So we roll up with 15 dudes to some of these shots, and guys are like the guys. I don't know if it was the guys in front of us or the guys behind us in particular, like on shot 1 or 2, were like looking at us like all sideways. Like they were like, these guys are assholes, which, you know, all that to say, yeah, you're not supposed to do that and we're breaking the rules, whatever. But then I would say by the third target, we were moving as a unit. Like,
right. We were faster than the 3 guys in front of us. Like,
yeah.
We were not holding anyone up. And it's not like it's the same amount of arrows going into that target. You know what I'm saying? So it's not.
Yeah, it would have taken a lot longer had we been in 5 groups.
Yeah, then we split it up into 3 groups. Now that's 3 more groups in front of you instead of 1 going up and pulling. And if someone now you got 10 sets of eyes looking for arrows, you know. So like if there's arrows that are lost, instead of 1 guy back there looking or 2, then you got 5 guys, and then it's like, okay, yep, not fine, move it along.
Yeah, but
and even Dudley, like at the end, he's like, I don't know why they don't like line them up, shoot, like don't wait.
Yeah.
Like,
but what I was saying, the guys that don't like it are the guys that draw. Oh, there's wind. Got to let down. Got to range it again. Got to get the spot. You know.
Well, I mean, everyone's there for a certain reason. I mean, if that's what you're going to go up there and you're going to, you know, get your binos out, look at the target, range it, you know, look at the target, look at your sheet, you know, it's like, where's the kill zone? Yeah, that's not us. Like I said, I don't even know where my scorecard went. I think I lost it when I pulled my tag off, and it's probably down in the grass somewhere, but
yeah. And what I was going to say is, like, by that third shot, like the guys that were shooting behind us, the guys that were shooting in front of us, they all had their phones out. Like, right. They're like, these guys are a spectacle. But we had generally shot courses that no one else was on. So
right
now at Crystal, the mob is going zigzagging underneath the lift as everybody else is going up, and we are this. And I'm like, we need to get in the woods. Like, we need to get. But we were waiting for the guys in front of us, and you know the weather was kind of wonky, and Sean was saying, like, because of whatever, we're going to just try and push as many people up as we can.
Well, yeah.
And he even told us specifically, you're all not shooting together. And we said, okay, cool story. But,
right.
But so that was Friday. And then I went to bed early. I went to bed at like 11 o'clock because I couldn't do it anymore. I'd been on my feet. Like my watch said before it died, it was 10 o'clock. We were shooting and I looked at my watch and it said, "You've been on your feet for 10 hours already." And I was like, wait a minute, hold on. How is that possible? So I just couldn't do it. And then, so Saturday comes along, and Saturday is like the day where we have our cookout, all that stuff. And John and I on both Friday and Saturday had 7 o'clock knock time. So Friday we shot, there was only the two of us in our group. So we waited and shot with Chris, Joe, and that was it. Or did we shoot with somebody else?
It was just Chris and Joe.
Because we shot with everybody else Friday night.
Right.
And then Saturday we shot with Dave, Chris, and Eric.
Yeah.
And that was, we shot at like, 8:30 or something, but it was rainy. And I don't know, man, I'm starting to like those like mild rain, like shooting in the rain is, I don't know. I think it feels more like hunting. You're not out there just getting sunburned, getting cooked.
I prefer that over the hot sunny days. That's not fun to me. I mean, you know me, I'm a freaking sweat hog anyway. Even on even when it was cool, I was still sweating. I only went through 2 hats instead of 3, but
because of that, I felt like we were done by like 11:30. And then we went back to the house, got something to eat. And then it was raining right up until the end of the night. So, we were doing our cookout. So Saturday's usually not we're going to shoot a second course because we don't know where everybody's going to be at. So what I was saying is like, that was almost like my day of like not shooting because I got to just hang out. Andrew with Outdoor Driven, the nonprofit for veterans, was there. And Dave with Razor Broadheads was in the same booth. So hung out with those guys, and I'm just sitting there talking and trying to explain the whole thing because I think it was both of their first times at ATA, and it was like everybody that walked by was someone that I'd known either like from the podcast, just from shooting, or from another company or from another event that I was at. And so it was like I just got to hang out and just chit chat with people instead of like having to be like out on the mountain. Or I feel like sometimes like with the way that we've been doing it the last few years of like putting on like, everybody comes and stays with us, coordinating the food, everything. I'm just trying to make sure everybody's having fun, but like when I was down there, I'd already shot, everybody was doing their own thing. And it was like, I got to just hang out, and that was freaking awesome.
Yeah, it freaking poured for a while on Saturday. Well, Frank and I took off and went over to Eddie's, so we didn't hang out down at the show, but.
Yeah, so I was just there like standing in the rain. I ended up doing a podcast with Face Off E-Bikes. That's going to be released later. They've got something pretty cool collaboration that's coming out, so pay attention with those guys.
Now, is that the bike you have?
Yeah. They had to change their name because there was a couple other companies that were just kind of like latching on to stealth, and then there wasn't a whole lot of protection there for him. And then he's got his taxidermy is Face Off Taxidermy, so he's got like rights to that and stuff like that. So it was a pretty seamless transition, and kind of sets him apart because there is a stealth e-bikes and it was stealth hunting e-bikes, and it was like all this other rigmarole. So I got to just hang out in a booth, record a podcast.
Is he based here in Michigan?
Yep, out of the UP.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, obviously there's Chinese components and stuff like that. He's getting all the stuff sent here and assembling it, but it's, if you listen to any other podcasts, especially the one with e-bikes, but we did one about hunting because of the level of hunting that he does. He was a professional hockey player. Like everything that he does is kind of like you, like at the highest level. Like there's no cutting corner. So it's all the best components, and he's building a bike that he would use and that he would sell to his friends, or like that his buddies would have. Like if I asked you to build me something, you're not going to build it like I build things. You're going to be like, no, we're using the Craig jig. We're doing this. We dovetailed all the corners and we glued them. And this is what you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's the same thing, but there isn't, maybe somewhere there's the technology here in the US for all those motors and components and electronics and all that stuff. But Chinese companies are basically the leader in that Bafang and all that stuff. So I got to sit and do that, and that was cool. And then the weather broke. The RMEF party happened. That usually happens every year on Saturday. So it's just waits till that's done. Then everybody comes rolling in. Jake shot for the truck. Matt shot for the truck. So Matt's the one who won the arrows from Canati. Shot with him all weekend. He said he was pretty happy with him. But he, for a guy who wasn't really like set up for that by his own thing, he shot really well.
He shot great. And
so that was cool, but we didn't get any in for the truck. So Travis got 2 in. And then he's going, I think, to Indiana, next one maybe the UP. But then we did the cookout, and that's always like one of the better parts of TAC. That's that real deer camp feel for just about everybody. So John did spend a little time, eyes rolled back in his head on the couch.
I just took a little nap, not like I was passed out or anything. I was just tired, and then sitting there listening to Frank and Eddie talking about hunting Colorado, which is crazy. I don't know if you heard the story or not, but like
knives, machetes, saws, and shears, multi-tools, shovels, swords, axes, spears, hatchets, and tomahawks. If it cuts, snips, slices, or chops, Midway USA has it. Find great gift ideas in our huge selection of pocket knives and other everyday carry folding knives. Make a statement or create a family legacy with one of our top-of-the-line hunting knives. We've got a great selection of manual and electric sharpeners, too. For just about everything for the outdoors, check out MidwayUSA.com. Whether you're just looking to stay warm during a hunt or need maximum concealment, the clothing you wear can make or break a hunt. At MidwayUSA.com, we understand hunting clothing has come a long way with more meticulously crafted camo patterns, advanced scent control technologies, and weatherproof options to withstand the elements. Hunters have to wait until their favorite season, but shouldn't wait on gear, which is why Midway USA offers super fast shipping. When you're ready for your next system, log on to MidwayUSA.com.
They got the same pins?
They got the same pins. Eddie hunted that back in 2013. And he's like, and even, before that, it's like, so obviously I was just listening. So it was a good little nap I got. But.
Yeah. So that was great. And then Sunday, we were supposed to shoot Knock On, and we swapped around a whole bunch of bands so that some guys could shoot and we could shoot with other guys, and we ended up shooting Sitka again. So, which
was nice because Knock On was okay, but I was not in the shape to go up and down the valley, and Sitka was good where, they had the longer shots, like the moose at 125, and it was an opportunity to compare the bear to the lift.
Apples to apples.
Yeah, apples to apples.
Same course.
Although we did shoot Knock On also, but I was looking forward to shooting it on Sitka.
Yeah, because Knock On really wasn't that long of a course. It was just technical.
Yeah, which is, that's good too, but I just didn't, I knew in my shape, like Knock On was more physically, like it was a more physical course, and it was going to take it out of me, and that would affect my shooting. So I wanted to be on a course where I wasn't going to be as affected, physically, so I could compare the bow. I was still pretty shaky, at first, but.
So we shot Sitka, Knock On, Prime on Saturday, and then Sitka again.
Right.
And I don't know. Prime seemed really short. And then like Sitka was every shot. I felt like it was the same shots from last year, but they were 10 or 15 yards shorter. Like it did. I mean, there was some longer ones, but I think there was like only the moose, or maybe like one more that was like around 100.
Yeah.
And that was it. Everything else was in the 60s. So.
Yeah, because I mean, before it was like 105 on a goat. Like,
well, they had the ability. I mean, on that uphill Sitka deer or whatever it was, or axis deer, you come down the valley and you're looking at this thing 200 yards away, and it's a straight shot, and there's one shot over to the left, and then you just cut back to it. And actually, the guys on Sunday moved back, and they were shooting.
Yeah, just like we did on the bowl. Like the bowl should have been, that was a knock on the bowl. That should have been a 100-yard shot. Instead, it was like 82. And
they didn't have any of the they had the moose, but that was the only like big target. There was one elk on prime, right?
Yeah, that was it.
And it was like a 55-yard shot or something.
Yeah, just I mean, didn't they used to have one that was like pretty much, was that in the woods though? Or which one was it? It was like all elk. Like there was a bunch of them.
They had an RMEF course. But then and then they had a long elk that was like that Dudley, like laying down elk uphill.
Yeah, that's where I told him he could have his bow back.
Yeah. So overall, as far as like the event's concerned, like it's fun. You don't need all of the special gear, all that stuff. Like if you were going to bring Jet, so if you were going to bring your son who'd never been attacked before, what would you say that he had to bring just to like to be able to shoot any of the courses?
So if that was the case, I would tell him that he'd have to have a slider sight. I mean, you can do it. There's guys that shoot it with fixed pin sights, but if your fixed pin's down to 60 or even 80, you're going to be gapping and it's not going to be fun. So you could pick up a used slider, but a slider and then get it tuned and, tune it to 100. And the thing is, go watch some videos and get it set up to where you don't do the Cameron Hanes and have it fully extended out as far as you can, because you're going to lose, unless you have 80-pound limbs or something, you're going to lose your sight window. So keep it close to the bow and you'll be able to get more yardage out of it, and try to get a smaller housing. Like if you got a big XL housing, obviously that's going to be,
well, you're just going to lose clearance on your fletchings.
Exactly. You're going to lose clearance. But so that's the biggest thing. Like coming up attack, like that's you hear a lot of guys, well, I only have an 85-yard pin. Well, I mean, that's fine. Like that's still 85 is a long shot. So, I mean, step up. I mean, there's no one saying you can't step up, but if you want to shoot it like we do and I think it's more fun if you stretch them out a little bit, but
yeah. And now, would you say that you could do that with any bow?
Well, no, not with any bow. I mean, obviously you have to have some decent poundage, 60 pounds and up. Like if you're going up there with a younger kid, yeah, you're not going to get, you'll be hard pressed to get 80 yards, some small bows. Lighten up your arrows, but I mean, there's a whole rabbit hole though. You're going to go there and build a whole new bow, whatever. But a slider pin, slider sight is what's going to be my recommendation.
And then arrows, how many arrows, what arrows, all that.
Well, just some cheap arrows, because you're going to go through them. Unless you're going to, I know my Easton Axis, I hardly ever broke an Easton. I actually broke 2 arrows tonight, just slapping them together in a target. So, I mean, and you had that problem with the Rampage or whatever, or not, was it the Rampage?
It was the Outlaws.
The Outlaws. Cheaper arrow thinner, slapping them together, you're going to, where the axis, the eastern axis are a real heavy wall, so they're going to be more durable anyway. But
I think you fall into like a weird thing there because
most people can't shoot an axis
well,
it's going to go 150 yards.
but you're spending more on arrows and then you get into like the mental thing of like you're losing them and da 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 da. Like I think if I was going to go to tack and I was just doing it my first time with any arrow, is I would find something that was readily available and I knew or it had like a reasonable GPI and I could recreate it as far getting close as far as like the overall weight.
Right.
Because there was a lot of arrows that I saw, a lot of arrows that we found that, I mean, so my buddy's kid hunted with us and on that one that had the log, he hit a log and he was shooting Full Metal Jackets, which he's obviously not listened to the podcast and listened to about how great and how terrible Full Metal Jackets are in the exact same sentence. But there was one in a stump that was rotted out. So they cut off the end of the stump until they could try to retrieve the arrow and they ended up breaking the arrow anyways. But the inserts that were in there and the amount of brass and stainless steel and weird shit that were in this stump, like that's all well and good that if you can shoot those and that's what you get to tune and that's what your hunting arrows are. So I'm using my hunting setup and yada, yada, yada. But when you run out of those arrows or you break them, like in a pinch, you can't just recreate that. I mean, unless you have all of that. Right. And so like that to me is like, it would be like from an extreme, like practical standpoint.
Right. So that's what I was trying to get at is like, just get some cheap arrows, something that, not garbage, but find some arrows that are reasonably priced. Like you said, something that's readily available.
I mean, the one kid, Nick, he was shooting those, whatever they are off of Amazon. It's like 2 dozen for $80.
There you go. That'd be perfect. You got 2 dozen arrows. If you go through 2 dozen arrows, then you probably should practice a little more. Unless you're really getting crazy and just, but
I just wonder because, like I said, in all this time, we like, I guess maybe for me, like I'm done, tried out everything, right? Like, I've been, since the first time we went to tack, I think I've been out west 4 times or 5 times now. And I've used all the things and I feel like I'm confident. Like I don't need to try out these pants or boots or socks or whatever.
A couple guys in our group, even they actually, I didn't walk around much down there. I did, but I didn't pay attention to like I know what I got. I know what I need. And I'm not in the market for any new gear right now. So I wasn't paying much attention, but like lacrosse was actually renting boots out or just
letting you borrow
them. You leave your boots and you go try, which is actually awesome. Like, and there was 2 guys in our group on Sunday that were shooting those boots or shooting with those boots on. And what a great way to, get guys in them.
Sure.
And on the mountain, like, hey, that would work out.
Well, and honestly, that would be a way where it's like, that's 100% like try before you buy.
Right.
And like, it's not just trying them in the store and like saying, hey mom, look how fast I am in these. It was like,
well, these look good. No, they actually tried them on the mountain, shot a course. And so, Jason liked them. I believe he was saying they were comfortable. And he actually had blisters from his Kenetrax the day before. So, and he was like, they actually felt good. And he was already blistered up. So,
yeah. Now, it's funny you should bring that up because I feel like I'd be remiss if we weren't going to talk about like the variations of footwear amongst our shooters.
Like Dave with no shoes at all.
Yeah.
I was like, I have no idea how he can do that shit. For me, I don't like walking around barefoot hardly ever. I don't like my feet dirty, like, or walking in the mud, and he's just slopping around in the mud and the dirt and walking down the blacktop.
Well, it's funny, like, so on Instagram, he's Barefoot Dave, and you're like, you know, whatever. John's JB47329 or, you know, Angler Arch or whatever. And, you know, some people, it's just, you know, there's a story from college that, oh, yeah, that's Barefoot Dave or like whatever. But then we go to shoot with him, you know, I guess the story goes like this. I hear him wandering around out there. I've had an hour of sleep. I smell the coffee. I'm like, is that coffee gone? I'm like, yep. I'm like, all right, it's time to get up. Went down there and I'm like, are you seriously like not wearing any shoes? He's like, no, I'm not. It's like freaking Cody Lundeen from freaking Dual Survival, right? And then in that day when it rained and all that stuff, he's just all muddy and it's like.
And it was cold out that morning too. Like that first morning it was cold and wet, and they were the first ones on that course there because they shot knock on in the morning and then they ended up shooting it again. And they were talking about how like they were the first.
And they were saying they wouldn't do that again because there was no path.
Right. No path. Like, so they were walking and busting the trail basically through. And I'm like, it's bad enough doing it in boots and pants, but he's in shorts and barefoot. Like, and he actually got bit up by some shit too. Cause he was like, he had some pretty bad welts. He's like, yeah, something bit me.
Well, when I left, I stopped by the Latitude, you know, I do around, say everybody and talk to, Jake from Latitude. And he's like, I get to talking to this guy at the cookout, you know, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, he shot the course without any shoes on. And he's like, you're that guy. He's like, you were in our booth there. You know, he's like, there was a guy with bare feet on the platforms moving around and all this stuff. And it's just like, but it's funny that Jason's got these boots and ends up with, blisters or whatever. And they had rental boots and Dave's like, I'm good. Like, I don't need your boots.
Right.
So I don't know.
Does he hunt like that? I never got to ask him. Like, do you barefoot hunt?
That's what we were saying. We were joking with him because we shot that Sitka course again. And I was like, next year you just need to do it like that with a loincloth. And people are going to be like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Naked and afraid.
But so there was, were you there? Did you pick up on the rumor about what's going on for next year for Michigan?
I don't remember who. I heard someone in the group talking about it, that there was going to possibly be two.
Yeah, they said it said something about it being split, like 2 back-to-back weekends, like one at Boyne and one at Crystal. So what do you do, John?
Well, if that was the case and we're just going to shoot one, I would prefer Boyne.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's a little bit further to go, but I just, especially like if we could get our condo that we normally get, it's so much nicer. I like the setup better. The mountain's bigger. The courses are more spread out.
We're going to have to rent that whole complex, though.
Yeah. Just whole building.
Yeah. But that would be kind of nice where you could just go up maybe to Crystal for a day, hang out.
Yeah. That would be like a cool day trip. Go up.
You wouldn't even need to shoot because we're shooting next weekend or we shot last weekend, but go up there and
maybe even like work the Latitude booth with them or something.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
That's what I mean, that'd be awesome to be able to go up and then have that as your hangout, like be able to see everybody and then go the next weekend, head up, and the pressure would kind of be off for getting FaceTime, but be able to go and shoot.
Now,
the 1911 is one of the most iconic firearms in history. Designed by John Browning, The 1911 was the standard issue sidearm of the U.S. military from 1911 to 1985. While Colt produced the original, almost every major firearm company has produced its own version. It's wildly revered for its reliability, crisp trigger, and is still a favorite for all types of shooters. Whether you're looking to buy or build a 1911 and just about everything for guns, log on to midwayusa.com.
On Mondays, head offshore with Captain Scott Walker and Steve Roger for breathtaking deep-sea adventures.
Coming to me. Double. He's jumping. Oh! Look at that belly.
Don't miss Mondays with Into the Blue, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern.
Tell a few fish stories along the way.
On Waypoint TV, the destination for outdoor entertainment.
For you, I know you don't mess around in the polos or anything like that, but the biggest, like, I want to say, like, takeaway from this year, or the thing that was mentioned the most, was like how it was almost like a middle of the year, like a reset. People were like, I needed that time to just be a dude. I needed that time to not have any responsibilities, to go up there and relax. And I think, Frank's a perfect example of that, because he didn't even shoot. He just hung out and told stories and took care of the food. So for you, like, having, I would have to say, a bunch of stress with building this house and, for the last 12 years. And having like everything like hanging over you, like micromanage, like what was it? Did you feel that way? And was it different this year, or?
It was I definitely needed some, I was weird because I'm like, man, I can just like sit down on the couch. It's like Saturday, and I was like, Frank's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to go over and see Eddie's place. Like, I don't have to do anything. I mean, there's a ton of shit I should be doing, but right now, I'm just not caring. I'm up here, no pressure. And it was awesome, like, just to be able to get away and get that reset, for sure, for me. Because it's been pretty stressful lately.
And is it easy for you to, like, plug back in to, so most of those guys that were up there with us anyways, and then, all the guys that we only see at TAC or whatever, but a lot of them are like on polo, so they deal with each other every single day. So we've got, these guys already know each other. It isn't like, oh, hey, this is the first time. Oh, hey, I'm this guy. Is it easy for you to like plug back in to that without the polo type stuff? I know you're like, who's that guy? I can't remember.
No, that's the thing. Like, I get up there and like, I can't remember people's names worth of shit. And it's like, who's the guy in the green? And you were talking to his buddy, like, oh, and I'm like, that's Brett, right? Brett. And like, we've seen him. I mean, we've been hanging out with him since Boyne, whatever. My wife's like, you pronounce that wrong. Thanks. But it's like, I just can't remember names. Like, I can't, like, we're walking through and it's like, oh, that's so-and-so. So I'm like, how the hell do you remember everybody's name and face? And it's like, I'm like, yeah. So it takes me a minute to get plugged, because that's when we're walking around like, who's that? What's his name? I'm like, I know these guys. We've sat and talked, like, unless it's like Carl. Like, I know Carl. Like, that dude, Carl is the man. Like, that dude stayed up till 5 o'clock in the morning and then got up. And like, where's Carl? I don't know. He's gone. He was on this little chair that he made, this bed, when I got up. And then when I got up to go to the bathroom, and then when I got up to take a shower, he's gone. I'm like, well, where the hell did he go? So then this is Sunday morning, right? We go, maybe it was Saturday morning.
No, it's Sunday.
No, it was Sunday morning. And then that's when we were heading to shoot at like 10:30, and he's already he's walking back. I already shot a course. Like, he's just walking back. I already shot a course. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I remember Carl, and, Joe. But
Talk about Joe. So again, Generations of the Hunt podcast, Joe Davis. He did like the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, and it was freaking awesome. We're shooting at this moose. Well, so Joe takes a lot of pictures and does a lot of great content. His Instagram's amazing. His reels, I mean, he does a tremendous job. And we're shooting this moose, and he's like, I'm not shooting. This is the first time we shot Sika. And he's like, nah, I'm not shooting. He's like, I don't got a pin for it. It'd be just.
Well, before that, so like.
No, but he's shooting targets here, there, everywhere. And there's a backup at this moose. So we're shooting, he's taking pictures, and he's digging around in his backpack and all this stuff. And he's got some stickers, and he's got he had some stickers that go on lighters, and he's got like all this stuff, and he's got like little cards made up. And then the guys behind us, who are shooting behind us, walk up, and I thought Joe was just fumbling around with his backpack, but he's got a freaking laser printer in his backpack. And he's printing photographs. He's printing pictures that he was taking of these guys shooting.
So that's
right?
so like when we first got on the course, like the first 3, shots, it was actually the guys in front of us because we were waiting for him. So then he's photoing while he's taking a picture. He's like, is it okay if I take your guys' picture? And they're like, oh yeah, no problem. So then, at the moose, we catch up to those guys after the next shot, and we're all standing there, and like all of a sudden he's like, busts these pictures out.
Portraits out.
Yeah, like in a baggie and stuff. And then he's like handing them, like, everyone like in our group was like, what the hell is that? And the guy was like, he's like, they're pictures of you shooting. Like, where the hell did you print them? Like, so, I got a printer in my backpack. And he's got his lighter and his card. And he's like, oh yeah, in the back of the card, there's a latitude, code, discount code for latitude, something else.
Yeah. It was just like, holy shit. So that was awesome. I feel like we can't get out of here without, giving him some props. Cause you can talk about some serious business. Like,
he's got a printer in his backpack. Like,
yeah. So like I say, I want to do another podcast here to follow this one up on the bows specifically. So we'll kind of cut this one off right here. But as always, it's one of our favorite events. And I guess to anybody who hasn't gone or has gone and hasn't had the same experience that we have. And I mean that by like shooting with different people, kind of like forging these friendships and relationships. Cause many of the guys that we're talking about, we met at TAC for the first time. Hell, I just was in Montana. We met Tom and Sarah so many years ago up at TAC. And there's just a great group of people up there, but you just got to kind of like allow yourself to have that experience. So, that's just go up there with an open mind and a box of arrows and have a ball. Slider sight. All right, everybody. Check out the next one if you want to hear about the bows.
Every once in a while, it's fun to go like just full-blown redneck on these fish. This is like high-tech cane pole fishing right here.
From the white sandy beaches to the crystal blue waters, enjoy the best fishing Panama City Beach has to offer during Chasing the Sun. Sundays at 9:30 a.m. Eastern on Waypoint TV, the destination for outdoor entertainment.
go out there and the fish are where you think they are, any one of these casts could be the bite. It's the most exciting fishing that I know, right here at Hawks Cave.
Oh, that's awesome.
Experience the best saltwater fishing the world has to offer. Don't miss Thursdays with Saltwater Experience, brought to you by Golden Boat Lifts, every Thursday night from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern on Waypoint TV, the destination for outdoor entertainment.